So with the screws, I had some people just reach out to me and say, hey, Ken, you know, I did the screws the way you said. As you could see here, we strung these. We started showing the first timers how to just spot them, and it kind of just morphs into the slide method, right? Spot, morph into the slide. That's what you see here. This is the slide method. But I had some people who reached out to me and said, hey, Ken, the compound wants to push out on the screws, right? And it's creating a little bit of a dimple. That's common. That happens. Compound has water in it. It's a water base. When the moisture dissipates, it has to dissipate somewhere. It dissipates outwards. The moisture carries the compound outward, and that's why you get these little dimples. It's common. It happens a lot. On a day like today, it's moist out, it's a little humid out, it's gonna happen more. If it's more drier, it's not gonna happen. What you'll see then is you're gonna see that screw head actually sink in. And you could see that in some areas here where this one actually sunk in, and this one actually pushed out, right? I mean, it's environment, it reacts. That's why I said drying times, weather, all of those things matter. To a degree where it's going to be, you know, difficult to manage? No. I just bring it up to you so you understand the why. Why is it doing that? Simply, if you find that they're pushing out a little bit, all I want you to do is before you second coat it, just scrape it. Give it a scrape. Give it a scrape. Give it a scrape. Don't scrape into your wet seam like I just did. Scrape. Scrape. You know, another thing too is while you're going along, if you see anything on the wall that you may have dropped and you want to scrape it, you scrape it off. You just, you know, you're scraping stuff. A lot of times too is you know, it's sheetrock. It gets damaged, it gets dinged, it gets hit along the way. Maybe we didn't see it on the first coat. But again, our job is to make it smooth and flat, right? We want everything to cover. When the paint goes on, we want to help the painter. So what I would say is like, for instance, here, I didn't see this in the beginning. There's a little tear in the sheetrock, okay? Now's the time, as you're moving through the process, if you see a little area like that, simply take a little compound and fill it, okay? Recognize it and see it. If you don't recognize it and the painter comes to paint, you're probably the painter. That's going to show through. I wanted to address this too before I got into these screws. Again, the sheetrock is not perfect. There's always imperfections, okay? There's a little indentation here. Maybe when it was rolled out, maybe when it was baked, it didn't adhere correctly, so there's a little indentation. Similar to what we hit over here, okay? We identified these on the first coat. If we don't identify these, when you paint, you will see those. So I identified this as I'm moving through. Again, take compound, whatever knife you're using. I don't care if you use a spoon. You want to use a spoon? Use a spoon. And then you could clean it, and then you could eat your lunch afterwards with the spoon, right? Use a 1 inch, a 2 inch, a 3 inch. How come you don't use a 4 inch? I use a 6 inch. That's what I use. You want to use a spoon? You want to use a stick? Go get it, put the compound on. Good luck getting it smooth. Here's a little indentation. And you fill it. You see that? It's filled. You recognize that for your second coat, third coat, put another coat on it. Make sure it's nice and flat and smooth. Anyway, keep your walls and ceilings clean. It's key. Always keep it clean. If you have a big glob on the wall and that dries up, you can't paint that, okay? You have to keep your tools, your walls, the floor, everything clean. Let's get into some quick screws, right? We showed you how to spot. It morphed into the sliding, and here we're going to go. We want to try and do our best to keep our slide method no bigger than this width that we created on the first coat, okay? If you even go smaller, that's even better. Again, look where my fingers are for this 6-inch knife when I'm sliding. I use my thumb this time because it gives me control this way. And what I'm trying to do is start here, and as the compound dissipates, I pivot to put pressure on the top. In real time, you can't see it. If I slow it down, you can see it. Okay? Here we go. I'm going to start from the bottom and go to the top. And swipe. I want you to give it a swipe. If you don't give it a swipe, you're going to have compound. I showed you this in the beginning. You're going to have compound on your knife. And then when you go to wipe it, you're going to leave what they call clinkers, or back in the day, snots. Like that. We don't want that. We want clean. So give yourself a better opportunity to be successful for the next coat. Clean your knife. Make sure it's clean, okay? Here we go, real time. All right? Maybe you left a little bit of an edge on there. You didn't like it. You can go over it. You can take that edge off. Remember, it's getting another coat. Moving through, it's repetition. It's very boring. Put your headphones on. Get into it. Start from the bottom. Go up. Swipe. Now, if you don't feel comfortable wiping that right away, take your knife and clean it. Get it clean. So there's nothing on there, right? And then wipe it. Right? Again, compound, my fingers, pivot, slide, start at the bottom, go to the top, clean. If you can get your blade, eventually, the less moves that you make on the wall makes you more efficient and speeds up your time. But speed comes with repetition. The more you do it, the faster you get, right? You're not going to be able to do it that fast in the beginning, but eventually you will. Okay? That's simple. Hey, I'm getting ready to do the bottom screws, right? Look at this little imperfection in this wall. Take a little compound. I want you to just go on there and fill it. Don't bypass that. That will show on the painting process, all right? Let's help the painter out now. The painter is our friend. We want to be good friends with the painter. I got a lot of good friends around here that are painters. I like to keep them happy. Let's move over here and we're going to do the bottoms, okay? Same idea. We're going to start from the top and go to the bottom. I use my thumb and forefinger to pivot my knife. It works for me. It's easier on my wrist. That's why I do it. You have another method? Go for it. You want to go in and get your pancake spatula and use that. If that's comfortable for you, do it. Just make sure it's smooth and flat. That's all, okay? Start from the top, go to the bottom. Same thing, just in an opposite direction. If you can get your knife clean, look, I already stepped in some. It's all over the place. Oh my God. If you can get your knife clean, go for it. My blade is clean. You can come right up. I don't mind that. But you see how I'm keeping the width the same? I'm not going full 6. You want to use your 4, your 3. I'm not going to keep emphasizing that. Whatever knife you want to use. The goal is each coat we go a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. If that wasn't the case, they wouldn't have designed them in 2, except for the 1 inch, right? Well, I guess that's not true. 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch, 5 inch. There are increments, but there's not a 9 inch that I know of, and there's not an 11 inch that I know of. Maybe there are out there. That's why the seams, when you wipe with an 8, you coat with a 10, you polish with a 12, all right? That's kind of the mentality. So we're gradually spreading that compound out, more coverage, better chance to be successful when the paint goes on, right? We're flaring it out. That's the goal. So, again, screws, fingers, start at the top. I identified the fact that it doesn't need to be scraped. You can always go through and scrape everything in the beginning. That's perfectly fine too. Start from the top, go to the bottom, and wipe up, okay? Start from the top, go to the bottom, wipe up. You feel a little bump, maybe the hair of the sheetrock, flat and smooth. Take the butt of your knife, give it a little tap, okay? Swat it and wipe it. A little debris in there, nice and smooth. And this is why I use a 6-inch knife, okay? I can keep my compound within the 6 inches. My final coat, which is my third coat, I'm gonna wanna be 6 inches because I'm gonna wanna cover this completely. The compound's gonna be looser. I'm gonna go the same method, but however, I'm gonna be spreading the compound out over these 2 coats to bury these edges, right? And we're gonna create a nice polish coat on there with no edges. Right now it's heavy compound. Remember, the heavier the compound, the more of an edge it's gonna leave. The looser the compound, the less of an edge. That's why on the third and final coat, you'll see that we're gonna add even more water in there, dilute the compound a little bit more to create no edge. Sometimes it's hard to not create an edge. That's why guys, a lot of people go back and they sand, or they'll brush it down. We call it brush down. You take a, very fine sanding block, piece of sandpaper, and I'll show you that on the third coat. I got a piece of sandpaper that's been on my sanding pole literally 2 years, and that's what I use because I don't like to sand, and I leave it the best that I can on the second coat so I don't have to sand. Do you have to sand a little bit on big jobs? Yeah, of course you do. On little jobs, little patches, I don't sand at all. I would rather put another coat, put it on, take it off, than actually sand the out of it in someone's home. So the idea is thin, bigger, biggest, and flare it out, right? Like if we use that technique here, fill in the recess, that's all we filled in on the first coat. Now we go 10 inches. We're a little bit bigger. The last coat will be 12 inches. We'll bring it out here. We'll loosen the compound up, less of an edge, and now that's our finished coat, okay? It's really hard to get away on big projects without a little bit of sanding. And the reason being is because there's perlite, there's stuff in the material that how it's made is gritty. It's kind of like the grit of a sandpaper. It's in there. We can't get rid of it. That's how the material's made. We can get it as smooth as we possibly can, but you still may have to go back and sand, just understand that. But we don't want to create a snowstorm. There's no reason to. If you follow the process and do it correctly in a little room in your home, there's very little sanding, which I will show you how little I'm going to sand this on the third coat before we start the third coat. So let's go back to the screws, and I kind of want to show a little bit of real time, like how it goes. If you're in the room and you're in the groove and you kind of got the music going and you want to make up some time, it's the same process over and over and over and over again. Here you go. Bottom to the top. Bottom to the top. You see how fast you could get at doing this? I mean, doing whole houses, it's a lot of work, but you can get very, very efficient at doing it if you do it correctly. I'm already identifying a little dimple here. Look, see where I'm scraping from the first coat? It's not the end of the world. I want you to tap it a little bit. Get it below the surface of the sheetrock, and now that's ready for the second coat. Again, top to bottom. Keep it nice and thin. The third coat is going to bury those edges, okay? Same thing here. Keep it nice and thin. And some people would prefer to use a 4-inch on the first and second coat and then polish with a 6-inch. Whatever works for you. If that works, beautiful. Use the 4-inch. Use the 3-inch. Like I said, use a spoon. Doesn't matter. Whatever gets the job done and makes you're comfortable with. This is what I use. I prefer not to go back and forth to my tools be consistent, use one size knife, just keep it smaller and build it out, build it out, build it out. That's what works for me. We want to identify these little indentations that are in here too. We want to make sure that they're addressed. You're going to see them. It's inevitable. You're going to see dings, scratches, tears, rips, whatever you have, whatever there might be. You need to identify and get it ready for paint. Okay? Very simple. I'm seeing some dimples down here too. You know? You see that? That's all in the skin of the sheetrock. I couldn't see it for whatever reason on the first coat. I'm seeing it now. Take the time to fill, okay? If you don't, is it the end of the world? Of course it's not. But you will see that when you paint. Is even that the end of the world? No. If you want to look at that after it's painted, good for you. It's your house. You could do whatever you want. Okay? Lastly, we're going to do the ceilings. Again, this is for teaching purposes. Did the walls first. Typically, I would do the ceilings first. Okay? We switched it up a little. Don't get crazy. All right? Slide method, same thing. My fingers, I want to keep showing that. It enables me to move my knife this way, okay? It's the only reason. If you want to do it like this, go ahead. If you want to do it like this, go ahead. If you want to do it like this, go ahead. Do it however you want. Showing you what works for me and what has worked for me and continues to work for me. Okay? Here we go. Start at one side, slide. Done. Same idea as the longer screws, except it's only 2 screws. Continue. Going through. Continue. Real time, right? Excuse me, over here. Same thing, we got a little dimple there. Identify that, scrape. This one I'm swatting, it's a little smaller. No need. I left a little bit of a clinker or a snot right there. Clean that up. It happens. Nobody's perfect, okay? This one I need to address. We've got to scrape it a little bit. Smooth and flat, right? Same thing here. Smooth and flat. Okay? Make sure we're covered and we're good to go. Screws and seams complete. Next, we're going to move into the most controversial part of the drywall finishing process, which is the inside corners and the cap.